All right, let's go to the basement and turn the water off. Our water lines come in through the wall of the house here, and then they go up and they go to the well. And then the water line actually goes back up, basically on the floor, and then down and out. So I built this wall piece. It's just pole barn metal, really, but anyways, it's just something to cover these pipes. So I can slide this out, and then right here is the water line that comes from there and it goes out. So all I gotta do is just shut this dude off, but I don't know which way. There we go. There it is, shut off. Okay, let's go out, cut into our water line. Okay, I'm gonna go through some of the fittings and also the tools that I'm gonna be using. So this is a brass fitting. It's 3/4 inch. This will actually screw into the bottom of the hydrant over there by the building. And then this is the male end and then the female end. And I recommend some pipe dope. This is called pipe thread sealant. I think anything like that would work, but something just to put on there and tighten in. You'll have to use a pair, probably either a pipe wrench or a pair of big vice grips to kind of screw that stuff together. So I have both. When I get down in the pit, I'll figure it out, what we want to use, what's more comfortable. I've got this fitting that will push right onto our black hose that we laid last night. And this takes some pipe dope on this side. There is a I'm going to say a nut on this kind of molded in. So I have a 5/16 wrench that fits perfectly. I do have an adjustable wrench, but I try not to use them because in the sand down in there, they can get all grimy and it's no good. Plus, sometimes if you don't have this thing perfect, you can actually strip these little plastic nuts. I have done brass fittings to brass fittings. I don't like brass going into the hose because for some reason I can put hose clamps on them, tighten them, all this stuff, and they just seem to leak. I don't know if somebody's got a great tip there, but the plastic to plastic seems to work really, really well, so that's what I'm going to stick with. When you do put that on, I'm going to heat the plastic pipe with this torch, just gently. I'm not melting it, and then that'll actually slide over here and kind of seal. And then I'll double hose clamp these. These hose clamps, almost all of them take a 5/16 socket. So I've got my small ratchet, here, 1/4 inch drive. I like to buy the USA made ones of these because they'll break, they strip out mostly, and sometimes you could be tightening them and you don't even realize they're stripped out. So I paid just like a dime more for these. But they are stainless steel and they're USA made, and I believe these are going to hold up better. So that's a look at our tools today. Now I think we're ready to take all this stuff down in one bundle, and I think what we'll do is we'll start with the hydrant first, get all that set so that when we come over to cut the water line, it's just a quick hookup. And what we'll use for that is a T. So we've got a straight line. We're going to cut that line. You can see right here where I don't know if you can zoom in on that page, but you can see where that black line's the water line's going to go in here. So I'm going to be cutting about what is that? Just under an inch, about 3/4 of an inch of hose out of the line. And then this T will come out to the new black hose. And then of course I'll need 6 of those hose clamps for these. So let's go outside and start it. So this has pipe dope on it already. This is the weep hole or the drain hole. So when this pipe fills with water, it can drain out and it doesn't freeze. Oh yeah, brand new pipe dope, love it. The dog is sitting here just huffing in Paige's ear. That's so irritating. We'll put a generous amount. So I'm just trying to fill those threads. Whoops. No. Oh yeah. I don't want to dig down 5 feet or 4.5 feet or whatever it is to fix a leak. Do you, Paige?
Nope.
I didn't think so. goes, and that should thread on real nice. If it doesn't, stop and rethink your decisions. Now I can take this pipe wrench, open it up a little bit. You got to pay attention to where your water line's coming in, and then you got to pay attention to where the spigot's actually going to dump the water. So if the spigot's dumping, it might actually change. I want it tight. That's one thing that matters to me. So let's see. That's just a little bit. Thing on, and it was not turned in the direction I want it to be. So I'm going to catch it 180 degrees from there and try this one more time, which would be right about here somewhere. I'll try it again. Yes, sir. I think that's what we want. So let's give this a little tighten down. So grab that there. And we'll cinch this dude. Let's see where that hits me. So here, that'd be okay, right? Pretty good angle. This is tight, and I've got it positioned at the angle I want so that when the water's pouring out, this thing's pointed towards the hose that we just put in the ground, or the pipe, whatever you call it. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and pipe dope these threads. Screw this guy on. I don't know a lot about threads, but I feel like you have two options when you're screwing threads in. If it doesn't work the first time, turn it 180 degrees and try it again. Otherwise, I don't know if the thread's even a thread on before it just spins into the next groove. So that seemed to work for me. All right. This stuff is goopy. Whoops. Okay. There we go. You gotta be real careful that you catch those threads, because you'll cross thread a plastic piece like this super easily. So those threads went on real smooth. Now we're just gonna tighten this. And this is a powerful 15/16 wrench. You do not need to get on the end of this thing. We don't need a lot of pressure. So I stay nice and close so I can feel it. Oops. This thing may just bottom out into the brass. But, oop, there it went. Okay, that must be tight enough because it literally rounded out around the plastic. So that tells me good enough. And I really didn't crank that hard. But this stuff's kind of like a glue. I think that would be really good for it. Okay. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Let's get this thing in the hole, and I might need somebody to help me hold it vertically while I figure this out. Okay, the spigot is going to go down into this bucket and rest there, and I need the bucket to drain, so I've got holes in the bottom of it, and then I'm actually going to cut an edge out of this because the water line's going to go into it, and then I've got this river rock I'm going to fill it in. So what happens is water goes up in the pipe. When we're done and we shut it down, the water's going to trickle out of that weep hole. It's going to hit this stone, and that way we don't have a bunch of dirt packed around the weep hole where it won't come out or it can't release, and it should function a lot better that way. So a bucket and some stone. So we'll get this thing cut out. Miss Addison. Okay, I've got the bucket filled up to where my slot is. I bent the slot so that it's a nice soft edge for our water pipe. And then I filled the stone up to about there. Now the spigot's gonna land right here. When we're done with that, we'll fill the rest of the bucket with this stone that's left over. Let me get in here without killing myself. Trying to.
You see those calf muscles, guys?
Trying to keep the sand out of my freaking. Okay. Now when you come in here, a few things. Always remember to put these on first, because you'll get this thing built and you'll have a problem. So I'm going to slide this one on, and I always slide these on opposites. And that way, if this one's tightening just a little bit right-handedly, this one will be tightening a little bit left-handedly, okay? I don't know if that helps, but that's what we're going to do here. I did kink it right here, see that? So we'll have to get past the kink. If I can, man, I just made it worse. Okay, slide those down, you can almost forget about them. Take my bucket. Now, I want the spigot at about 4 foot. So I'm gonna dig my bucket down just a little bit right here. The other day, well, when we dug this out, I drove through our pile of chicken poop that we cleaned out from the winter from one of our previous videos, and oh, it's just rank over there, and it's like stinking up the yard.
Yeah.
Alright. So I'm going to set the old bucket down. Nice. Nice. Okay. Set her down in here. Okay. Good. Didn't talk about these, but these are hose cutters is what I call them. They've kind of got a rounded edge, and it's really almost just like a razor blade, but it ratchets and it allows you to cut, but it'll cut a perfectly straight line, okay? Which is what you want when you're tying these together. So I'm going to get down here. I'm going to mark where I need to cut my hose. All right, let's get a mark on this. This doesn't have to be precise. I just don't want to be short. And then you just ratchet down and it'll give you a nice clean cut. Look how clean that is. That's so nice. Got to be careful with these. These will cut you. We'll get our ratchet ready. And the torch. We'll prepare that and we'll stick all these together. Now Addison, when I warm this up, let me dry fit it, but when I warm this up, I'll have you just lift for me. I'm just trying to, without kinking it, I'm trying to get this thing to just lay nice for us. You see how I'm torching that? I'm heating it, but I'm not like trying to melt it down. Okay, Addison up. More. Hold it. Okay, tilt yours out. Tilt the top towards me. Okay, good, right there. Good. Got my hose clamps here. Got my ratchet. I don't want to over tighten those, but they do need to be tight. Whew, okay, stood up too fast, got a little lightheaded there. I want to backfill this with the stone, but before I backfill it with the stone, I want to run water through this to make sure these fittings aren't leaking. I got to be able to see them. So, okay, I'm here at the main water line. We did the shut off at the house. Addison, would you turn the chicken water on? Let that thing run, and let's see if it turns off. It doesn't. We don't want to touch this line.
I'm about to say eat it, guys. Okay. Eee, what is that? Okay. Run fast for your mother.
It's not turning on.
Bro, look at that chicken.
Okay, Addison just checked where this live water line was. Our shutoff did work because she's not getting any water out of the hydrant. That tells me that I can reluctantly cut this pipe.
We're safe.
We're safe. We got Paige in the hole. So first things first, we can just cut this. So if this hose is coming in, it's probably most comfortable. And when I say comfortable, this hose isn't super flexible. So I'm trying to work with the kind of the angle of the hose. So let's say we cut it right here. Man, let's just hope this thing doesn't blast me. Oh boy. Okay, little pressure, but not much. Done. Let's go. I want to cut this at the exact length so that these two piece together well. And that would mean that if this one is cut at this point, then this other hose is going to come to this point, to that ledge, okay? So I can just size this up, whoops, right there, and say, all right, that gap needs to go away. So I've got a little mark right there. I'm going to go a little bit longer than that mark. Always safer to go a little longer. All right. You have to remember your hose clamps. Okay, we're going to run them opposites again. See that? Opposites. All right, then we'll slide those in. And then this one will be up, this one down. Good to go. I'm putting this one on first because it seems like it's going to be the one that's most finicky as far as it's just tighter in the ground than this one, we'll say. And if I look at that, boy, that's about a perfect cut. See that? Okay. So now we'll cinch this. Now I got to be really careful. I don't want to kink that line. There we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Ratchet.
Yeah. Oh.
Nurse Ratchet. So I've got these placed pretty close. Now in order, I want this stuff to, like this plastic almost to mold together a little bit, so I'm going to encourage it with a little heat. Now you probably don't want to touch these metal clamps anymore. You can help it. Ouch. Boy, those are hot. Now this one I think. Leaving about 1/8 of an inch between these two. Yeah, that pipe's still nice and warm, so that's good. Those feel nice and snug. I don't want to over tighten them and snap this little plastic piece, you know, just compress it too much. Get this guy cut. Let's see if that works. Hose clamps, hose clamps. Remember the hose clamps. Make sure they're opposites. Oop, I screwed up. Easy enough. Now we're good. All right. That looks like it's going to be the right length. So let's go ahead. I'm going to give this thing a little bit of just a little pry on it, just a little bit, see if I can get a little flex in it. Get on there. One thing I'm noticing is these hose clamps on a T like this, as they kind of dink into each other. You're not recording or what?
I am recording. You're just moving your head back and forth, so my camera's going around you every 2 seconds.
Copy that. And there you have it.
What was that, Addison?
One T-clamp. We got the water turned on. It's dry as a bone. Everything's good. So now I'm going to put the stone and fill this bucket. But I'm going to go kind of easy on this. I don't want to just dump it in there recklessly and crack the pipe or do any damage. And you can see how that's allowing it to seep out. And that's why we want these rocks around the base. I scraped out the wall here and I ran our electric line in here. I had more slack than I needed, so I pushed it back that way. I'll bring it around the other way and head it towards the barn. I went inside, looked where the framing was, and decided to go ahead and just cut right underneath one of these ribs and slide this in. Since it's not conduit, you're not actually coming up with a nice clean corner and a 90-degree angle. And that's okay back here. I don't think you're gonna see it. We'll plant a bush here, but this is good now because this is going to actually mark my drainage pipe, so everything's kind of working together. I really like it. I think I've got some drainage pipe pieces, so I'm going to go check and see if I have those. If I do, I'm going to go ahead and put those on real fast. Then we'll run the rest of this line. We'll kind of stretch this hose that way, and we can start pulling electrical wire through here. But this is coming really, really well. Once we get all this, we'll be able to fill this trench in. But this was really cool. It's a 3/4 inch deep rib. So all I did was cut it until I got above the framing, and it just dipped in there. Put a couple clamps on it. Love it. At the drain pipes, just for the floor drain. It's like for wet bathing suits or whatever. So not critical. I don't even need a fantastic seal. I'm more just looking at it so I can get them glued together. So let's do a little dry fit here. So I want to go over this one. What do you think, Nicole? Do I need it to go straight down? But we've decided that we're actually going to use this piece. Yeah. Because all I need is enough just to glue this. This glue's about had it. I can see that it's starting to coagulate a little bit. So this should keep these guys together. Yeah, you can see that stuff's getting kind of goopy. And I don't care so much that it seals. Like, I really don't care. Just stick it in there together and give her the old quarter turn. Whew, yeah, she's on there. Okay. That's that piece. That one's been primed. I'm just glad this wasn't like rock solid where it could go to Ace Hardware or something dumb. Alright. I would never use this on real plumbing. No way that's sealing. Okay. Put that on. There you have it. So there's your floor drain. Kind of points straight down, and then when the water comes out of here, it should flush enough sand out of there to let it do its thing. If I have a erosion problem down the road, I'll deal with it then. I'm trying to pack this down so when I pull on it, pull the slack out of it, it doesn't come out of that wall. My dog wants to be in here so bad. I'm just scared if we had a cave in, it'd probably kill her. At least my head's above ground level. So I gotta be the bad guy. She's got this like nervous pant going on. It's like a miracle that this was just enough, isn't it? Before I completely bury this, because I really don't know, I want to go ahead and try to run the electric through this, because that could be its own adventure. I'm gonna have to pull this wire through our water line that we put in the ground. So a trick that my dad's neighbor showed me was actually just taking, this is like a grocery bag, taking a wad of it, tying a skinny string around it, sticking it in the hole, and then at the other end running a vacuum and actually sucking this thing right to you, right through here. So Nicole and I are gonna do this together. Nicole's going to the other end here. We got some soap, we wiped it down, we got a string that we pulled through the vacuum. So she's gonna start pulling on that string, and I'm gonna be pushing and putting the soapy water on here to help lubricate it. We'll see if this will go through that pipe for us. There's really no turns or bends, so it's just a matter of, ooh, here she goes. It's just a matter of pulling it through. Get to the dirt. One thing to make my life easier in this YouTube video will be just measuring straight out on the edge of the barn. How far is my water line exactly? About 13.6 away from the barn.
Little less helpful. How you doing, bud? You gonna help me fill all this in? Yeah?
Okay, it took us about 8 hours to do this project. I know it took us from 5 to 9 last night to get it all dug out and get the lines run. And then we were able to actually backfill this, get everything hooked up, and pull the wire. And it took us about 4 hours today. So I'm going to say about an 8-hour job. We got it done. I've got it smoothed out. Everything's good. We can start looking towards the next projects. We're probably going to be running some electric, some outlets, and some lights inside this building. I know we want to put up a hose reel, and we're also going to put some landscape paper down and put some stone back here too, to stop some of the erosion. So thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit those notifications so you can watch our next videos as we continue this project. Thank you.